Welcome to the Passive Income Revolution podcast, where we help you create the life that you dream of. Whether it's through real estate, entrepreneurship, or just savvy investing, we're here to help you make that dream life a reality. No matter if it's that yacht in the ocean or just a little extra time with your kids, we're here to help you. My name's Karina. Welcome to the Passive Income Revolution podcast. So, I've been thinking about this introduction for a while. And I was taught in high school that you write your introductions last. And this is something I actually still do to this day. So whether I'm creating a presentation for a group of landlords or I'm writing a paper or a blog, I do my introduction last. So I'm actually recording this at the end, and I still don't know actually what the introduction should be. This episode is basically a get to know me episode, because most of you out there don't know anything about me. I'm happy you clicked on the podcast. I'm even more happy that you're listening for the first 46 seconds here. But my goal is to keep you enthralled and get you to subscribe to this podcast. So for starters, I think it's good if we get to know ourselves a little bit better. I am a real estate investor. I've been a real estate investor for 6 years. Now, that doesn't seem like a long time. I know. I've had a lot of things I've done for longer than 6 years. In fact, one of them being married. But I grew up in real estate. My father was a real estate investor. My grandfather was a real estate investor. And I've learned a lot from them. I've been surrounded by it my entire life. And this is why I'm passionate about real estate. I'm also a property manager. One of the reasons I became a property manager is because I saw some of the unfortunate stories of investors my father and my grandfather knew that weren't treated well by property managers. People who had no idea about real estate investing. They were just there to collect the rents and show the apartments. Now that might seem like a good thing, but really you need a property manager who does more than the basics. So for about 15 years now, I have been in the real estate industry. I started out as an intern in high school, and now down the road, I've actually come full circle. I now own a property management company where I have, I believe, 6 employees. And I know that sounds horrible, that I don't know the exact number, but there's only so much that I can keep in this head. Property management company is about 6 employees. I have 12 doors that I own myself, and I will be increasing that to 16 within the next year and a half. And I'm also the chairman of the State Landlord Association, the Wisconsin Apartment Association. So, if you can't tell already, I am passionate about real estate. Why am I passionate about it? Because it's how you can change your life. Now, as I said in the beginning of this podcast, we're not just going to talk about real estate here, because I know some people don't think real estate investing is a great path. They think it's risky. They think you have to deal with tenants all the time. And they just feel like it's not the best fit for them. That's fine. I'm willing to accept that. I hope you still listen to the real estate podcast that we have on here, because maybe, possibly, my stories can help change your life and change your view on real estate investing. But if not, that's fine. That's fine. As long as you're here and you're doing something to create a better life for yourself, that's all I ask of you. So before I get into the meat of what I want to tell you about my story today, one thing I want to start with my podcasts is every episode I will give you 2 random facts about myself. I figure this is a good way for us to get to know each other, build a rapport with you, because really listening to a podcast, you're developing a relationship. I know that after months and months of listening to certain podcasters, I feel like I know them on a certain level. And it's when they share things in the podcast that I begin to feel that rapport build. So every episode, you're going to get 2 completely random facts about me. Maybe they'll be about what I do in real estate. Maybe they'll be about my personal life. Maybe they'll be about my experiences. I don't know what they're going to be. It's whatever kind of strikes my fancy that I'll tell you about. So your first random fact about me is I love to travel. I absolutely love getting on a plane and traveling places, getting in a car and driving somewhere. I've actually gotten in a car and just drove with my husband. Like the only thing was we're going to follow a road until it ends. And then we'll pick up another road and we'll just drive and see where we end up. We didn't end up like in any exotic place or anything. I'm based in Wisconsin here. We ended up in the smaller town in the eastern northern part of Wisconsin called Richland Center. But it was just cool to have that experience where we just packed a bag and we literally drove and followed one highway till it ended, and then we picked up another one. It was one of the coolest things in the world. And what was great about it was we ended up staying at a hotel which is White House themed. And this will be your second random fact. I am a political nerd. Politics is actually my major from college. And when we saw that hotel, I'm like, oh, that's where we have to stop. And it was so cool because there were portraits of the presidents lining the halls. And then there was even this little library with books on the presidents. And it was just kind of really cool for a geek like me. I was absolutely geeking out the entire time. So there are your two random facts about me. Now, I will tell you more about my travels as we get to know each other better, and I'm sure that my geekiness or nerdiness in politics will come out more throughout this podcast. I said earlier that I have 12 doors, so I own 12 rental units that are in Wisconsin. They are a mixture of duplexes and quads. And personally, I like my duplexes not as much as my quads. The reason I like my quads is because I get more income contributing to the roof repairs, the capital expenditures, the mortgage, things like that. Now, don't get me wrong, I love my duplexes because they are older homes. All of my investments are older homes. When I say older, I mean they are from the 1910s or earlier. My oldest building is actually from, I want to say 1856. It's this gorgeous, gorgeous home, which is a painted lady. My painted lady needs to be repainted, by the way, which I am working on. But that's a whole different thing in itself because for a painted lady, you need to pick out like 4 to 5 colors. And I'm like, I can barely pick out one color for my kitchen. How am I supposed to pick out 4 to 5 for my investment property? Like, this is a legit thing. I told the paint store people when I was getting help from them a couple years ago. They're like, well, you need to pick out 4 to 5 paint colors. I'm like, okay. So I'll be back in 6 years when I finally pick them out. But I love all of my rentals because I love having older homes. Each one of them has this unique feature that I absolutely love about them. All of my investments are in a city that I do not live in. That was a personal choice. I didn't want them to be too close for me. And in fact, they are 2 counties away from me. Some investors want to keep things close, especially when they get started. For me, I'm like, no, I kind of want it an arm's length away. I want it to be over there doing its own thing, and then I want to be at my home doing my own thing. Because otherwise, it feels like when I'm driving around the city where I live, suddenly that becomes work because I might drive by my duplex and I might see something that maybe slightly raises my blood pressure or makes me a little angry. And I wanted to try and keep where I live as peaceful as possible. I do own a property management company, and that company manages my properties, but it also manages about 130 other properties for other owners. I'm just very lucky that I have a property management company where I run the operations that can manage my properties. I've owned the property management company for, it's going to be 7 years soon, and that's amazing to me. To be here 7 years is incredible. The rate of success of entrepreneurship is not that great. And I'm getting closer and closer to that 10-year mark where the statistic is just honestly baffling and sort of stomach turning at the same time. But the rate of success for entrepreneurships is like 90% fail within the first 10 years. So I'm sitting here looking at year 7 going, oh my gosh, wow, this could actually be a thing where it lasts longer than 10 years, which of course is your goal. But when you start out in your first year, you're like, oh, well, that seems like a really far place away. And the second year, you're like, it's still a really long time away. And it was only about the past month, it's like, oh, wow, I'm only 3 years away from hitting that 10-year mark. I consider that pretty amazing. Now, I have 6 employees. I think it's 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? 7? Maybe 7. Yeah, I have 7 employees. Okay, so we just learned that together now. Maybe that should be random fact 3 for today. I have 7 employees. I have an office staff, which I rely on incredibly to keep the daily operations going of my companies so that I can be here with you guys, helping you through blogs, podcasting, guest speaking appearances, and doing other things that make successful investors. Now, I love entrepreneurship, but I don't quite love it as much as real estate investing. What I love about entrepreneurship is being my own boss. I love the fact that if I have a cold, I don't need to call into somebody and have that knot in my stomach like, oh gosh, is this going to upset them? When I have maybe not a family emergency, but a family member that needs a little extra help, I can drop everything and go and help them. A couple years ago, I was available to my sister-in-law who needed emergency babysitting because of something that was going on, and I was more than happy to drop everything during the middle of the day and go and do that for her. I like that I'm able to be there when people I know have big appointments. Maybe they have biopsies or they have other surgeries. I like being able to go and do those. But most of all, I like the fact that I can spend time with my family when I want to. I like the fact that I can go and have lunch with my parents and it can be a 3-hour lunch. I like the fact that I can go and surprise my nieces by being there when they get off the bus or by having lunch with them at their school. I actually just did that for the first time last week, and it was a really cool experience. It's weird to be in a grade school where you're not the kid anymore, but I loved being able to eat lunch with her in the cafeteria, see her classroom because it was indoor recess because it was rainy and yucky that day. And I got to do things with her during indoor recess, and that was an amazing experience, something I'm going to carry with me for the rest of my life. And part of the reason I'm able to do all these things is because I am an entrepreneur. So even if you're not convinced real estate's for you, maybe entrepreneurship is for you. Because honestly, this podcast is about creating the life that you want through truly passive income. There's a lot of people out there that say they can help you create passive income, but they're not actually helping you create true passive income. There's a little bit deeper of a definition to actual passive income. If we were to create a definition for passive income, it would likely have some sort of maximum number of hours required in order for it to constitute passive income. You don't necessarily create passive income by becoming an entrepreneur. If you are a solopreneur, someone who is the only person in your company, or maybe you're the only technical person in your company, the one with the real expertise, you haven't created passive income because you're still required to be there to have the income coming in. When you start to get employees, maybe you get closer to the point of passive income. Passive income isn't necessarily about being able to go away entirely, because as many successful people can tell you, Donald Trump included, that when they forgot to focus on their businesses, they started to lose their businesses. So passive income will always require a little bit of time from you, but that's the key. It's a little bit of time. I like to think that your income can be passive if it requires less than 10 hours a month from you. If you don't have to put in more than 10 hours a month, that is what I believe true passive income is. Passive income isn't just creating a website starting a mailing list, and then having resources on there to sell. That's not passive income because you still have to market those resources. You still have to create them yourself. You likely have to write them, record them, create them, whatever they are. There's still a lot that's dependent on you in that equation. But if you become an entrepreneur and you build up your company and you slowly replace yourself out of the day-to-day operations, that's what creative true passive income is. If it's in real estate, it's building your portfolio and maybe hiring a property management company. Maybe it's hiring your own property manager, someone who just works for you. But either way, you are delegating the day-to-day operations to the point where you put in less than 10 hours a month. Now, I'll be honest, my property management company is not quite passive income for me. But my real estate is passive income because I have delegated the responsibility of it to a property manager. And all what I do is I look at the income and expense reports twice a month. That is what I do with my real estate, and that is why it's passive income. Now, if I wanted to, which sometimes I do go and do things on my properties. I am currently involved in one of our turnovers because I honestly felt like doing it. I just had this itch where I wanted to paint walls again. I wanted to stain woodwork again. I wanted to do these things that I honestly hadn't done in a while. But that was my choice. I didn't have to go and do that because my real estate can actually afford to have other people do the repairs for it. I just wanted to do it. It was fun. I did consider it fun. It was this nice task where I could not use my brain power overwhelmingly because honestly, in my day-to-day life, as an investor, an entrepreneur, a coach, I use so much of my brain during the day that it almost gets overwhelmed and gets really tired at night. So having a couple of these days during the week where I was going down and painting the walls and doing the woodwork, it was really cathartic for me. It was sort of like a vacation, but not a true vacation. But that's the beauty in passive income, is that you don't have to work to make it work for you. I chose to make it work when I worked for it, just because I wanted to have a little bit something to do outside the house. But it still works for me when I'm not actively working at it. And that is what true passive income is. This podcast is about creating passive income, whether it is through real estate, entrepreneurship, or even savvy investing. There are ways to create true wealth that will give you the opportunity to say sayonara to your 9-to-5 or at least cut your hours back. Wouldn't we all like a little bit more time in our lives to spend with our kids, our parents, travel more, maybe even just the extra income to do things with? I know investors who love their jobs. I know plenty of police officers who love their jobs. They can't imagine quitting. They invest in real estate because when they get those 3 or 4 or 5 weeks of vacation during the year, they want to make it really, really good. So they do investing so that during the year when they go on vacation with their family, they can really enjoy that time by taking trips to Hawaii for 2 weeks or Italy for 3 weeks. They work hard and they play hard, and they use real estate to play hard. So I'm not here to tell you have to quit your job or that should be your goal, because it doesn't have to be. This world wouldn't function if everyone was an entrepreneur. We need people who are willing to do essential services and do them not as the boss. We're just talking about creating the life that you want. If you imagine yourself still being a teacher because you're passionate about it, that's fine. We'll just help you create the passive income so that when you get to the point where you no longer want to be that teacher every day, you can do that, whether you're 37 or 67 when that happens. I'm so excited to start this journey with you guys. Next week's podcast, we will get into a topic about entrepreneurship. We'll be talking about delegation, and I can't wait to see you all then. Hey guys, thanks for listening. If you want to find me someplace other than this podcast, you can find me on Instagram at passive INCREV. That's the word passive INCREV. You can also find me on LinkedIn under Karina Ufinger, and I also run the Facebook and Instagram pages for my company's Brio Properties. So feel free to check out information on me there and follow me on both those platforms. And if you feel like sharing, send me 2 random facts about yourself through Instagram. I'd love to get to know you all.